in the old folks tell, it ain't gonna rain no more.
Hi everybody, I'm Kanalkanut.
And I'm Mr. Shoes.
And today we're back with another hiker grab bag.
Alright, we've pulled out of our grab bag a bag and
a rope.
I think you can probably guess that this is our bear bag and this is our bear bag line. Hanging a bear bag is pretty essential to your safety on the Appalachian Trail. A lot of hikers, surprisingly, don't practice good bear bag or food storage safety.
I, for one, was completely shocked at seeing people just cooking, eating, storing their food right in their tent with them. Well, at one point I saw someone use their bear bag as a pillow. We also saw people who hung their bear bags on the eaves of shelter under where they were sleeping and where other hikers were sleeping. And those who actually went through the effort of hanging the bear bags sometimes just hung them over their tent anyway, completely defeating the purpose.
A bear bag is a nice, sturdy, in our case, waterproof stuff sack that can hold the weight, put up to a little weather, swung around, or being manhandled. A length of paracord. We used 30-foot length of paracord. We had a permanent bowline tied, a reasonably small size carabiner so that we wouldn't have to tie it to the bag every night. We started out with a length of Sea to Summit cord that was very, very fine and very, very lightweight, because we wanted to be ultra lightweight hikers. And we found when we had a full sack of food right out of a resupply in town, when we tried to pull that cord up over that branch, the cord actually stretched and it was so fine that it cut into our hands. And on particularly cold days, it was a really uncomfortable, painful experience. Now, hanging your bear bag and throwing your cord up on a windy day or a cold day or a rainy night is a really uncomfortable thing to begin with. Having the appropriate gear in order to do that is going to make it easier and make that chore a little less frustrating at the end of a long day hiking.
Now, a very important part of hanging a bear bag is the rocks you choose. Now, in my right I have a very smooth stone, in my left I have a very jagged stone, and when you're tying your rope around it and throwing it onto a tree branch, it's probably best to go with the more jagged stone, as if you went with the smooth stone, your string would just fall off, rock would fly away, string would fly away. It's a whole big thing.
Now, our buddy Shakedown prides himself on being able to do a single tie, single throw bear bag hang. I always liken myself to David fighting Goliath, that I would swing it, throw it up over the branch, and my chores would be done. For some reason, as soon as I hit the trail, hanging my bear bag was the most impossible task, and it took me a good 10 to 20 minutes every night while Kanalkanut got the tent set up for me to get this stupid bear bag in the tree. Hanging the bear bag was my least favorite chore, and some nights I really considered not hanging a bear bag, but on the nights that we had encounters with animals, we were very thankful to have our bags hung. Tying your paracord across an irregular rock is a pretty tricky thing. I would suggest you start, as I do, with the basics of a clove hitch. A clove hitch is a hitch that wraps around your object, creating an X like this. Give yourself enough of a running end so that you can wrap it around 3 or more times. So you can test that simply by wrapping it around 3 times, and if you have an extra, it means you have enough for your hitch. When you do a clove hitch, you come across your object, in this case this rock, once, and then come across again, creating an X. The third time, you're going to take your running end and you're going to put it underneath the 2 loops that you've just made, the 2 wraps that you've just made. Now, it's a little tricky, and you kind of have to finesse it, so be patient. And you come across like this, and it will look like that. You can tell it's a clove hitch when you spread them apart and it creates an H like that. And then you pull your ends tight. Now, what's going to happen is, you can see what's happening. Across your irregular object, your clove hitch is wanting to come apart. Find those jagged edges that Kanalkanut had mentioned and really wrap it around. Now, what I do, because I don't trust that my clove hitch is simply going to do what it needs to do, I turn it over to the back, I take the extra bit of my running end, and I just do 2 overhand knots. An overhand knot is how you start your shoelaces in the morning. If you hang it and you shake it, it's usually good enough to get you over that tree. One end of our paracord was permanently tied into a bowline, which is a loop knot that cannot tighten on itself. It's permanently looped. To that, we clipped a small but durable carabiner that can carry the weight of our food, so that we could tie it to our bag without having to retie every night, which saved on time and frustration. The other knot that we use on our non-running end, the one that we put our carabiner on, is called a bowline. We've only tied it once, and we keep it there permanently to make it easier for us at night. A bowline is a rescue knot. It's a knot that means that this loop that you create isn't going to cinch down on itself like a noose or a granny knot or something like that. A bowline starts with a loop, and a loop is when you cross over your rope over itself. So you're going to start with crossing your running end under your fixed end, and you start like that. The other part, since you have the rest of your rope here, is going to come up through in a bite. Now, a bite is simply a loop where you don't cross over. So you're just putting those ends together, and that's a bite. A loop is when it crosses. A bite is when they're together. So you're going to tie this with a loop and a bite. So, running end made into a loop with the running end underneath. You're then going to take a bite from the rest of the rope here, and you come up through the end and go around that running end, and you're going to pull it all nice and tight, and you'll have this permanent loop here. That's a bowline. I'm going to do that one more time. Running end made into a loop, a bite, up through the loop, over the running end, and you pull the bite and the loop tight, and what's left is your loop to hook your carabiner into onto your bear bag.
You can loop the carabiner around your finger so you don't throw the whole rope into the tree like Mr. Shoes did. Then you want to drape it over your hand loosely so it does not get tangled in itself when you throw it. You also want to be aware of any brambles or sticks or leaves that are sticking up from the ground that might get caught on it. Once you've done this, you are then okay to throw.
Back over to me.
Make sure you draw your string down tight. Many people clip it to the long line coming right out of the sewn edge of the bag. This leaves the line too long and stresses the seam of the bag. I take the cord and wrap it around the sack to reinforce it. I pull it up through itself, which is stronger than just hanging it off of the cord alone. I then tie a loop. It can be an overhand, or if you have enough, you can do a figure 8 knot, which is easier to untie in the morning. And then I clip the carabiner into the loop.
Support the bag as you pull the line. Make sure the bag is 10 feet off the ground and 4 feet from the trunk. Wrap the line around the tree and pull it over and back across the line so it doesn't slip. You have a lot of excess line. To save yourself headaches, make a bight and tie 2 half-hitches with the bight. 2 half-hitches consist of an overhand knot tied around the tree followed by a half-hitch, which is made simply by tying another overhand on the static line running up to the bag. Since you know a clove hitch, you can think of 2 half-hitches as a clove hitch tied around the static line running up to the bag. 2 half-hitches allow you to tighten the line if necessary. And remember, bear bags are very useful. I'm Kanalkanut.
And I'm Mr. Shoes.
Everyone on the trail has their opinion.
And this is ours.
Oh, it ain't gonna rain no more, no more. It ain't gonna rain no more. But how in the world can the old folks tell it ain't gonna rain no more?
Hang your food. Hang your food. I mean, really, those idiots.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, I sleep with it under my head like a pill. Hang your food.
Maybe don't yell at the viewers, Dad. I know you're gonna. Anyway, are you done?
Tying